Hey, what's up you guys? So I started playing Pokemon Masters the second it was released to see if it's worth your time, and here's what I found out. On Thursday, August 28th, 2019, Pokemon Masters was officially made available for the general public to experience, and I've gotta say that I haven't been this excited for a mobile game since Pokemon Go was released in 2016. So as I booted up this game, I had a few connection glitches that, if we're honest, are to be expected in a mobile game of this scale, and I'm sure you'll see that popping up periodically in the game footage playing in the background of this video. Now, at the time of recording this video, I'm only about 3 hours into Pokemon Masters, and this game, while certainly not without its fair share of flaws, has been an absolutely fantastic experience thus far. For those of you who don't know, Pokemon Masters takes place on the artificial island of Pasio, where trainers from all over the globe must earn 5 gym badges while competing in 3-on-3 team battles with their partner Pokemon to qualify for the Pokemon Masters League tournament, which draws the likes of gym leaders, Elite Four members, and league champions to compete in it. This simple idea pretty much gives the game license to shove in as much fan service as possible by including all of our favorite characters from every single Pokemon generation thus far. And even though I know this is just the Pokemon Company pandering to their longtime fans, I can't really bring myself to be upset about it. This game is just packed to the brim with so much charm that it barely even feels like a mobile game. Not only does it feel awesome to start the game battling alongside Brock and Misty, almost as though you were in the anime, but the game actually makes a point to give each character you encounter, whether they be through the main story or just by sync pair scouting them, their own personalities and stories that you can delve into if you want. And it even goes as far as to include voice actors for the first time, which I think is a really fantastic addition to the series. On top of all of this, it's such a nice touch that between story missions, you get to go back to the Pokemon Center, which is the game's primary hub, and talk with a bunch of the characters you've encountered in the game thus far, and they each have their own unique mannerisms, idle animations, and dialogue, which is really impressive seeing as the cast of characters is ridiculously large, even at launch. I feel like it would have been easy for Dina, the company that actually made this game, to cut most of these details out, but they really make sure to show you that even while you're not actively engaging with the story, you're still on the island of Pasio surrounded by other trainers that you can interact with. I mean, even the NPCs who run the shops feel distinct, with my favorite being Trinia, who runs the cafe, who just can't seem to put down her Starly Bucks cup just like any basic white girl. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like the characters have even a fraction of the depths that the cast of a game like Fire Emblem Three Houses does, but for a Pokemon game, and a mobile title at that, it's pretty dang impressive. Although, I have to admit, I really hate the dialogue options in this game because they're really useless. And they pop up regularly enough that it's pretty annoying. I would bet that 9 out of 10 of the 2 dialogue options that they give you to pick from are saying the exact same thing in just 2 different ways. I mean, I get that they're trying to pretend like you have some kind of choice in what's happening in the game to keep you engaged, but at least make it a bit less obvious. It's almost like we're playing Dora the Explorer Pokemon Edition or something, and I'm just not into that. So you guys want to keep watching this video? Awesome. Me too. Now, as far as the story itself is concerned, I'd say that it's less of a story and more of the game just moving you from one point to another so that you can recruit characters from older Pokemon games onto your Pokemon Masters League team, with minor breaks in the pace for you to earn badges or to have the new forgettable evil team, Team Break, say something rude and try and steal your Pokemon only to have you pummel them into the ground. So now that I think about it, I guess it's the exact same as every other Pokemon game that's ever been released. I don't think anyone was expecting too much out of the story though, so just the fact that it has one is a win in my opinion. But I think the aspect of the game that we all care the most about, would have to be the Pokemon battles themselves. Personally, I think that the battle system is just intuitive enough that it's easy to pick up really quickly, but requires just enough thought that you can't just spam Pikachu's Thunder Shock and immediately win. The triple battle system, with each Pokemon having their own strengths and weaknesses, just like with a Pokemon game, really makes you think about which sync pair you're going to put in your team to maximize your chances of success. Now, the game makes it pretty easy to figure out which trainers you should have in your party because it literally gives you a prompt saying which types it recommends using in every single battle, but I still think that there's a layer of strategy surrounding which sync pair you should actually focus on training up versus who can just kind of be left on the bench indefinitely. For example, I haven't put too much effort into training Whitney and her Miltank, just because I don't foresee them being all too useful in my team when compared with stronger sync pairs like Phoebe and her Dusclops or Rosa and her Snivy. I'd say that the most prevalent way that this battle system deviates from the mainline games, however, is the fact that it utilizes an active battle gauge that will need to be filled up to varying degrees before you can use specific attacks. This is cool because you'll have to really think about whether it would be more beneficial to spam the quicker moves or wait a little bit longer for the more powerful moves to finish charging up. And on top of all of this though, you have to be aware of whether or not your sync move, which is pretty much this game's equivalent of Z moves, is up and which opposing Pokemon you want to use it on. It's not exactly a groundbreaking combat system, but it's definitely a fun way to shake up the traditional Pokemon formula we're all so used to. And finally, the last thing I really want to talk about in this game is how it approaches its microtransactions. In Pokemon Masters, you get a type of currency called gems, which can be used to scout new sync pairs that you can use throughout the course of the game, and while the pricing of these gems is borderline criminal in my opinion, I don't have a problem with it yet, because it doesn't feel like they're forcing me to spend my real world money to buy these sync pairs. I mean, would it make the game a lot easier? For sure, yeah. Will you get more opportunities to get the sync pairs you want? Yeah. 100%, but the game is fairly liberal with giving you gems, and unless there's a ridiculous difficulty spike a bit further into the game, then I sincerely don't see any issues with the current system. I mean, this free mobile game clearly took a lot of time and effort to develop, so they need to make money off of it somehow. So as long as it doesn't become essential to buy these gems just to progress, I really don't have any issues with it. Overall, I would recommend this game to absolutely anyone and everyone who's a fan of Pokemon, because it genuinely is a very quality experience through and through, with a few drawbacks here and there, and I've got to admit, this both excites me and scares me a bit. While I'm definitely stoked that we get an incredibly fun new mobile Pokemon game, with all of the controversy still surrounding Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'm kind of fearful for the future of the franchise. A few weeks back, I made a video called The Problem with Pokemon Masters, in which I said that this game, while undoubtedly good, could set a dangerous precedent for the series in the future, as the Pokemon Company seems to be shifting their focus away from the quality of the mainline games in favor of mobile games like Pokemon Go and Pokemon Masters. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I suppose all we can do is wait and see what time has to show us. But that'll do it for today's video, guys, and I want to pass the question off to you. Do you think that Pokemon Masters is just gonna be a fun mobile game, or do you think it could have some negative implications for the series in the long run? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, why not liking this video, why not subscribing to my channel, and why not even ringing that notification bell, because I make videos every single Saturday. As always, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Later. Are you still there? Well, before you go, I want to tell you about a really fun collab I did the other day over on Papa Bless's channel, in which we talked about the history of Pokemon gimmicks throughout the entire series. So if that's something that interests you, then please go check that out. I'll put a link to that somewhere here on the screen, and I'll also put a link down in the description below. But this time for real, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.